The news are IT companies. We just heard Cognizant giving a better than expected guidance and in fact a better than expected revenue growth as well. Let's check out whether the environment has changed for the better in with respect to other Indian companies as well. Girish, Paranjpe, the ED and joint CEO of Wipro, joins us now all the way from Bangalore where there is a Nasscom conference. Mr. Paranjpe, thank you very much for joining us. First and foremost, before I come to the brass tacks of numbers, the statement of President Obama and the juxtaposition of Bangalore vis-a-vis Buffalo and the clear preference for companies that invest and give jobs in Buffalo rather than Bangalore, how much is it likely to hit Indian companies in general and Wipro in particular?
So I think Nasscom as an industry body has already spoken about it, saying that we really believe in free trade between countries because let each country kind of specialize in what they do best. And so I'd leave it at that. So if you talk about the broad sentiment, I think broadly the sentiment is beginning to kind of change because we have seen stabilization over the last 2 months or so. And many of the challenges that were present last quarter of last year and early part of this year, especially in January, February, seem to be kind of getting to a more stabilization phase.
The preference for free trade apart, first of all, can such a threat be actually implemented, considering that in the global world there will be a lot of competition from non-US companies? So can US companies implement the kind of job reshipping or shipping back home that the president is asking for? Is that particularly feasible? That's one question. And secondly, have you seen any improvement in sentiment, even if you have done a dipstick survey with respect to your clients, since there are a lot of green shoots that people are talking about, and Ben Bernanke alluded to it, have you seen an improvement in sentiment on the ground?
I think there is less of panic and less of a crisis atmosphere. I think that helps. And I think over the next couple of months, we should see much more stability returning. Because once you have stability, then you can see much more rational decision making and people start to think, so this is a really critical for my business, I should launch this project, and I think things will be normal. So I think the feeling of crisis seems to have passed, and I think people are getting back to stability, which is the first good sign. And I think that if we kind of live with the similar sentiment for another couple of months, I think we'll get back to some level of kind of uptick in the broad environment. So broadly our feeling is that second half should look to be better than what it has been so far.
Mr. Paranjpe, if you could add a few numbers to that, and even on the pricing front, has there been any improvement? We just got the Cognizant results. They were pretty positive. A $3.1 billion guidance for this entire calendar year was reiterated. So do you sense that over the past 14 to 15 days, there has been a little bit of a change in the mood since we last spoke to you at our boardroom?
So I think 14, 15 days too short a time. I would allow a longer period of time because I don't think people change their minds or can start taking decisions in such a rapid period. So our kind of milestone is still a kind of post-summer environment rather than anything happening on a week-to-week basis.
In terms of your margin front currently, any steps you're taking in terms of cost controls and even in terms of rollovers of orders, have you seen any significant pickup on that front?
So on cost control, I think we launched a program August last year, and that is running through in the current year as well. And we are finding more and more innovative ways to kind of contain costs rather than just do slash and burn. Because even in these times, we think there is a great opportunity to invest in new areas, in newer technologies, so that when the market does pick up, we are ready with both the capability in terms of people as well as in terms of technologies, which are then kind of at least proven internally to be able to take it to market. So while there is a broad cost reduction program which is in place, and I think that will continue to deliver for us over the next 12 months, we are not kind of putting all that back into profits. We are actually investing a significant part of that into either people or into technology.
Well, our IT analyst Raji is joining us. Raji, go ahead.
Girish, could you just articulate, you've been on roadshows over the past few days. What is the sentiment among analysts and fund managers to how Wipro had given the guidance this time around?
So I think the sentiment is positive because, relatively we have done much better, and I think our outlook was stronger than what analysts were expecting. So I'm not taking all the credit for the run-up in share price, but I think there has been positive surprise for most analysts in our performance so far. And broadly speaking, given our portfolio of businesses across geographies, across industry verticals, across service lines, we think we have a little bit more stable model, which gives us reason to be a little bit more confident.
Just sticking to the point on protectionism that Lata was trying to ask you, in the couple of road shows, the statement that you made is you're looking at hiring more locals and increase the on-site presence. Could you articulate on how the thought process has changed in the last 1 month?
No, I think that's part of a longer-term plan that we have, that we want to be a global company. And when I say global, not only in terms of how many offices we have outside India and how many clients who are non-Indians, but we also want to have a sizable workforce outside India hired locally. So that's part of a long-term plan that we have. And I don't know if you have tracked Wipro over the last 12 months, but we are downstairs center in Atlanta even before anything like protectionism happened. We're just going to continue to build on that and have much more localization in US, in Europe, in all the other countries that we operate in. And we are perfectly comfortable hiring local people, integrating them into our associates and team members, and providing a kind of common face to the clients.
But just hiring locals in the on-site, is it going to have any drastic change on your margins, sir, in the next 2 to 3 years, as you had just told us?
No, actually, this is a little bit of a myth that if you hire locally, there is a cost disadvantage, because the people whom we second from here to any geography, whether it is in North America or whether it is in Europe or elsewhere, we actually pay local wages. So there is no cost arbitrage for us to send people from here versus hiring locally. The only difference is that you lose some amount of flexibility, because if project kind of comes to an end, then you are able to bring people back to India and engage them on other projects, whereas if you hire locally, you would not have the same flexibility. So you lose something on flexibility, but a company of our size, we can do a certain level of globalization without really losing anything on an overall basis.
We have picked up some thoughts from the market itself, where companies who have taken TARP money or the government aid, they are a little cagey on giving projects to offshore companies. How are you tackling that problem? Are you increasing your onshore presence on these companies?
So I think the regulations are not explicit about how top companies should behave, and I think that's more a company by company kind of decision making that is taking place. But one thing you should remember, that most of the large banks are not local American banks, they are global banks, and in many cases more than 50% of their revenues really come from outside the US. So it is not possible for them to take a view about only doing employment generation in one country and not managing their global operations and doing what makes sense on a global basis.
Mr. Paranjpe, would you say that in the past month you have seen improved renewals of client orders, and what basically are the time, the gestation periods of these orders? Are they just short term, or do you think even people are coming into discussion for longer gestation orders?
No, we have what we call large deal pipeline, which means orders which are cumulatively at least $40 to $50 million total contract value and higher. And that pipeline continues to look robust. I think what has been a little disappointing, and I'm not saying just last 1 month, but over the last 6 months, is that the time cycle for finalization of some of these deals tends to get extended, because people want to either negotiate more or want to watch before they sign on the dotted line. So I think the time cycle for signing some of these large deals has already extended, but if I look at just the funnel, that continues to look pretty healthy.
Would you say headcount in Wipro may fall in FY10, considering the pressures you face to hire locals?
No, but if we hire local, they'll still be part of Wipro workforce. So I don't think we are looking
I meant the Indian headcount.
No, again, I don't want to predict what the headcount will be, but yes, there will be, we'll end up hiring all over the world. We'll hire in India, we'll hire abroad, and what the mix will be is difficult to forecast at this moment. But we are going to start bringing in engineering grads starting this month itself. So we are kind of have a decent expectation of adding to headcount this year.
Mr. Paranjpe, we do appreciate you taking time out for us. Thanks a lot for joining us.